to side of your ankles. Alrighty, lowering the shoulders away from the ears, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just steadying yourselves over the soles of the feet, perhaps noticing all the areas of the feet that are currently touching the mat, and maybe just slightly swaying forwards and backwards, side to side, just to make sure that you've said hello to all those areas and they're nice and relaxed and melting down onto the ground there underneath you. As you breathe in through the nose, you're sending that air into this upper thoracic body, partly looking at your lungs expanding, your ribs just gently pressing out towards the inside edge of your arms there. Our lateral thoracic breathing. Growing through the crown of the head with every inhale, just allowing the vertebrae just to stretch slightly towards the ceiling, growing up from the base of the spine, lifting from the pelvis, even the pelvis lifting away from the top of your thigh bones, making space even through the whole of the leg area, through the knee joints, through the ankles, and again lifting up and away, almost floating on the floor there, just about touching with a feather touch under the soles of the feet. And as you exhale, go ahead and start to think about the muscles just drawing in. With the air leaving the body, you're just starting to draw in and hug the spine, maybe slightly activating the rib cage, drawing it slightly down towards the pelvis. And equally, or opposite, this energy just gently drawing up the pelvic floor area. Areas of wind and water just slightly engaging as you exhale. Let's make that 2 more breaths in. Just think about that growing, the making space in the skeleton, the adjustment of your body. And then as you exhale, just gently drawing in, activating the muscles, switching those on. And open your eyes and bring yourselves back into the room. Okay, so we're going to start with a nice simple double arm float. We're going to just breathe in and just send the arms towards the ceiling, just gently above the head, and then releasing back down by your side. So nice, easy work, just double arm floating here for me. And down. And one more breath, just leaving the arms above the head, just arms towards the ceiling. I'm going to just gently bring one elbow down towards the side and reach the opposite arm towards the ceiling, and find that flow as you just send one elbow down and one arm up. Perhaps feeling a little bit more movement in the rib cage and the side of the body as you stretch, release from side to side. Well done. One more time. And then bring those arms down by your sides. And we're going to just take a small step forwards. You can either stay where you are down the mat or face the length of the mat. Okay, it's a small step forwards, not too big. And just a bend of both knees. So it's just a little soft bendiness at the knees there. Okay, so from here, we're just going to notice that we've got a little bit, because the knees are bent, a bit of movement we can then have through the hips as we pelvic tilt. So just tilting the pelvis forwards and backwards. Okay, and you might feel there's a bit more connection when we do this with the rest of the leg area. Okay, so you're not necessarily static, just finding that flow, tilting the pelvis forwards and backwards, perhaps connecting into the lower back area, a little bit of a stretch as you tuck the tailbone under towards your nose as you push back, perhaps feeling a bit of a stretch down the front of the abdomen there. And just going to continue there with the pelvic tilts and lift your arms towards the ceiling. And then just pausing kind of halfway between those tilts, just go ahead and take yourself into a lateral flexion. So you're just going to take yourself over to the side, a bit of a balance challenge, not too much. The knees are nice and soft. And you're just going to take yourself from side to side. We're getting a bit more deeply into the sides of the body as you stretch from side to side. The pelvis is now static in your neutral zone. Well done, gorgeous. And bring yourself back to center and release your arms down by your sides. Just go ahead and switch legs. So your other leg is towards the front and your opposite leg to the back. Again, both feet are down and your knees are soft. Okay, so you're just kind of like your support. And you're going to start just a few pelvic tilts on this side. See how this side feels. Okay, just gently drawing the pelvis forwards and backwards. And again, noticing that connection with that hip movement, with the lower back, with the lower abdominals, And when you've found that halfway house, just settling their arms towards the ceiling. And we're going to take ourselves into lateral flexion on this side. So just taking yourself over towards the side. Okay, no great end point particularly, just feeling where you feel comfortable, feeling like you've got that little bit of a stretch, maybe a small challenge with the balance left to right as you ease from side to side. And last one, bring in your hands center and release the arms back down, stepping back into the middle of your mat. Okay, so let's go ahead towards the end of the mat now, facing down the length of the mat. Soften your knees for me slightly. We're going to start with our first little roll down, okay? So soft knees to begin with. Engage the tummy button to spine, that transverse abdominis muscle area, pelvic floor area under as well. Tucking those guys in, start to take your chin down towards your chest. And we're going to start to roll down slowly towards our toes. And we're going to just do 2 roll downs, okay? So this one, we're going to come up again, just tucking the belly button in, chin into your throat space, rolling back up and into standing. Well done. Soften the knees one more time, engage the tummy muscles and pelvic floor as you tuck your chin into your throat space. And this is our second time down. With the knees bent, we should be able to get kind of towards the floor there or thereabouts, okay? And from there, we're going to walk our hands forwards and let the knees come down towards the floor, flattening your toenails down behind you and into a child's pose, okay, which is a rest position. See how you feel here. And again, it's just seeing where's comfortable for you this morning. You might not have your bottom towards the heels. You might have your bottom slightly elevated. That is fine. Ideally, we have our elbows slightly off the mat if you can, and straight arms wherever you're at, okay? But if you feel you need to put the elbows down, then that is not a problem, okay? So from here, we're just going to start to feel a bit of movement with the bottom heading from left to right. So a small rolling or rocking of the bottom, shifting from side to side. As I say, you might just feel like you want to widen the knees, perhaps, if that's more comfortable. You might want to widen the arms if that's more comfortable. And we're just rocking the bottom from side to side, a small little movement. And come back to center for a moment. Take your right hand to the right edge of the mat. The left hand is also heading to the right edge of the mat. And I'd like you to now push your bottom over towards the left side of the mat. So you've got that diagonal sense of your bottom one direction, hands the other, almost like you're creating a curve or banana shape in your body. And pause there for a second. Again, you can have your bottom down. You can be doing this with your bottom elevated as well. Okay, if that is not for you, you can just bring the hands back to center and just hold the bottom heading towards the side. Okay, that is fine as well. And when you're ready, bring your left hand to the left edge of the mat. The right hand joins it on the left edge of the mat. Send your bottom towards the right edge of your mat or your right heel. Again, feeling that crescent shape with the hands to the left, the bottom to the right. And once again, breathing into each of these moves, making sure you add in that breath. And then bring your bottom center and hands center as well. Okay, so we're going to bring ourselves up into 4-point kneeling. And I'd like everyone to take your hands slightly further forwards, okay? So easing your hands, a good hand span or 2 forwards. We're going to bring ourselves into a gentle, well, you'd call it an up dog, but I'm going to think about this as being just stretched through the front of your body, okay? So with the hands slightly forwards, bring your body weight forwards as well, okay? So your hips are way forwards of those knees now, as opposed to 4-point kneeling, yes? Okay, so from here, think of this chest or your heart space just lifting slightly through your arms, and you're going to let your pelvis come slightly down towards the mat, okay? Perhaps shoulder blades back and down, easing together, and then bring yourself back into your 4-point kneeling position. And then we're going to come forwards again. So you're just going to find that flow where it's comfortable for you. You're not looking to head into a deep back extension here at the moment, okay? You're just going to try and mobilize forwards and backwards, the bottom heading to the heels and the chest coming through the arms. If you can keep the arms reasonably straight, that is great. And maybe start to feel a little bit of movement and rolling through the shoulders, perhaps adding a little bit of a lift of the gaze as you come forwards, okay? Perhaps adding a little bit of a stretch to the front of the throat space. and maybe looking towards your knees as you come back with the bottom to the heels. Okay, so flowing forwards and backwards. And this next time we come forwards, I want you to just pause with the heart space pulling through. Okay, shoulder blades back and down. I'd like you now to continue so that your hips come down towards the floor. Okay, so your pelvis is on the floor. And what I'd like you to do is maybe widen your arms. Okay, so take them forwards and wider. So you've got a much broader position for these arms. Okay, nice and supporting. Now, if you're worried about back extension, you can drop your elbows down towards the floor here. If it feels like it's a little bit intense at the beginning of the class, then go ahead and pop the elbows down. Also, you can have those legs a bit wider. Okay, if that feels a bit more comfortable too, go ahead and widen those legs. All righty, just making a bit more space. Okay, so from here, we're going to just start off by, if your arms are straight, your elbow is just on the right, just going to bend down towards the mat. Not a huge, it's not, you don't have to get to the mat, just a bend and look over your right shoulder, come back to center and bend your left elbow, look over your left shoulder. Now, if your elbows are down, what you're just going to be doing is simply looking over your right shoulder, okay? And bring yourself to center and the left shoulder. Okay, so just getting a small amount of movement, okay, through the shoulders, through the spine, through the waist, and through the neck as you look to side to side. Well done. Well done, just looking from side to side. And then gently easing yourself back into your center position, and everyone elbows down. Okay, fabulous. Walking those legs together. Okay, if they've gone too far apart or farther apart, walking those legs together. All right, we're going to bring ourselves into sitting. So just ease yourself up into a sitting position. Okay, so folks, you can have your legs together at the front in a frog leg position. Okay, they can be quite far in front of you if that's more comfortable. If you want to go ahead and sit up onto a block, you're more than welcome, or cushion, or you can cross your legs as well if you would rather, and that's more comfortable for you. Alrighty, so to begin with, we're just going to have our hands just together, clenched sort of towards the front of you. Perhaps you can have your fingers interlaced, but just generally into this heart space area to the front. Okay, so as I say, we're going to have a think about some of the Pilates principles, breathing and flow. And I want you to start to think about, as you breathe in, lifting your elbows towards the side, and exhale, let your elbows come down and rest by your rib cage. Breathing in, lifting elbows, and exhale, floating the elbows back down by the side of your rib cage. I want you to close your eyes if you can for a moment as you just take in this breathing. And imagine, if you will, the slow and gentle billowing breath, almost replicating the movement of a jellyfish as you breathe in, expanding and engaging. And as you exhale, just gently allowing the elbows to come back down to the rib cage. And exhale as you lift. As you drop. The gentle billowing breath is just a nice flow as you lift your elbows and exhale one more time, breathing in, lifting the rib cage, exhale, releasing the elbows by your sides. Gorgeous. From here, now we're just going to open our eyes. We're going to allow the air on the right hand side just to head down towards the shoulder, stretching down the neck on the left, and come back to center. Breathing in and exhale, air coming down to the shoulder on the left, and back to center, and pause. One more time to the right, and to center, and to the left, and center. Well done. Taking your chin now down towards your chest, just gazing down towards the mat in front of you, perhaps your feet, and just pause here for a moment, and then bring your gaze back to center. Take your ear to the right. And now we're going to bring our gaze down towards the mat where the chin was, down towards the chest, and then take the ear towards the left. We're just going to come back down to looking towards the mat and ear towards the right. And down towards the mat, ear to the left. And one more time, chin to chest. Well done. And bring yourself to center, looking towards the front, popping your hands behind the back of the head, just interlace the fingers if you can. So you've got a little bit of an engagement of the hands on the back of the head, perhaps shoulder blades slightly pulling down. And we're going to just use that slight press of the head against the hand, okay, to just think about the connection of the neck muscles, okay? So they're just slightly fired up. You're going to breathe in and then gently tuck your chin down to your chest and use the hands to slightly deepen that stretch that you've just done, looking down towards the mat, and feel a little bit more intensity in that stretch, maybe a little bit of resistance. Okay, and then lift, looking towards the front with a breath in. Exhale, we've got 3 more. Taking the chin down towards the chest, a little tiny gentle press with the hands. Well done. And still thinking about this neck spine, okay, getting a tiny bit of a stretch here. You're not looking to engage the rest of the spine at the moment, just thinking about the top of the rib cage up to the base of the skull. And 1 more breath in. Exhale. And then bring yourself to center. Release the hands from the back of the head. Okay, so we're going to take our legs into what we call a Z sit, all righty? So you're going to have 1 leg towards the front and 1 leg towards the back if you can, all righty? If this is uncomfortable, you can tuck 1 leg on top of the other, all righty? And they're quite far away from your bottom, okay? The reason I say that is because we're going to have ourselves with our hands behind us, okay? So you can reach back there. The hands can be quite wide behind you. Alrighty, and if you need to, you can be slightly towards the side if you want to take a little bit of effort on pinching off this hip here on the side, then the upper hip, then go ahead and lean slightly away from that hip. Okay, so first things first, we're going to take, so if your legs are to the right, I'd like you to take your, to your left, I'd like you to take your left hand and or vice versa, and just take your left hand away and touch over towards your right knee. Okay, so easy work to begin with, just so you feel comfortable. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and repeat that 2 more times, taking the left hand and just touching the right knee, finding a bit of twist and movement through the waist, breathing in, exhale, touching your opposite knee. And we're going to just pause there. All righty, so you're going to take this arm now, we're going to lift the left arm up and over a little bit more deeply and touch the knee. Okay, so you're adding in a bit of an arm movement, a shoulder movement, and touch light behind you, breathing in. Exhale. We've just got 2 more. And we have 1 more. Okay, this next time the hand comes behind you, we're just going to pause. Okay, we're going to add in now to follow the hand with your gaze. So go ahead and look round towards the left. Okay, or the back hand that's moving. We're going to now follow the arm with your and hand with your gaze, lift up and over and touch the knee, breathing in and up, following the gaze, following the hand with your gaze and over, breathing in, lift up and over and down. Well done. This final time, we're going to come up and over and leave the hand at that front knee. Okay. If you can, we're going to take that hand and just tap it down towards the mat, okay? Perhaps shifting yourself slightly if you need to the direction of these hands, maybe touching up onto the fingertips if you feel like you're a little bit too deep down into the arms, or you've got short hands or short arms like me, go ahead and lift up onto the fingertips. Okay, so what I just want you to do is just look down towards the mat here, and I'd like you now to just lift the gaze and feel a little bit of a stretch in that lower back as you lift the gaze. Look down towards the mat or your fingertips and thumbs with a breath in. Exhale as you lift your gaze. Look down towards the mat with a breath in. Exhale, lifting the gaze. And final time. Looking down towards the mat, lift the arm up and over, follow the hand with your gaze if you wish, and pause with those arms behind you. Okay, so from here we're going to take ourselves down onto our elbow over on the right. Okay, so bringing the elbow down, and you're still in your Z sit, so your elbow is kind of in alignment with your hips. All righty, and the feet are wherever is comfortable for you. If you need to have those knees bent, as I said before, go ahead. Your left arm is towards the front, facing forwards towards the front. Let's go ahead and lift that arm up into javelin and over into arc. And really think about that top rib cage area, waist and top hip pressing to the ceiling. Reach with the arm and back over towards your hip. Breathing in. Exhale, up and over into arc. Well done. And down. And a breath in. Exhale. And one more time, breathing in. Gorgeous, well done. And down. Okay, pausing here. We're going to pop that arm just towards the front. And what I want you to do is think about this top hip. And I just want you to roll it forwards and backwards. Just find a bit of a rolling motion. Facing the hip towards the front and then almost sending the hip towards the back, the bottom cheek easing over behind you. So it's just a rock and roll of this top hip, tilting forwards and backwards. Gorgeous, well done. And then just pausing here with your hips center. Take your arm back towards your side and up and over into arc. Holding with your arm in arc, let's go ahead and rock that hip forwards and backwards. Forwards as your gaze comes towards the front hand, and maybe as your hip rolls back, lifting the gaze slightly. Just letting the head follow with the arm. Okay, so you're not looking to roll or look towards the back of the mat. You're just lifting the gaze to the ceiling and down to the mat. Just engaging a little bit more through the waist and the hips as you lift and open and roll forwards and down. Lift and open one more time and forwards and down. And then bring yourself back to center, easing your arm back over towards your hip and then gently easing yourself over to the other side. Z-sit with your legs towards your side. See how you feel on this side. Again, just get yourself into a reasonably comfortable position to begin with, either knees one-on-one or legs in Z-sit. And then see if you can pop those hands behind you, just easing back slightly. If you need to, slightly away from that upper leg, okay, to stop any twist, too much twist on that top hip. Okay, so first things first, it's opposite hand to knee. So all I want you to do is if you've got your hands towards the right, it's the right hand moving or vice versa. Just touching to begin with the opposite knee and back. Okay, so just making sure you feel comfortable, just moving on to one single arm support as you touch across and then gently back. Okay, just two more touching across, starting to feel a bit of a twist and motion through this waist, through the hips. Nice and long spine. Well done. Pausing with the arm behind. From here, we're going to take our arm up and over into arc, mobilizing through the shoulder joint as you touch forwards, lifting up and over as you touch behind. Breathing in with the arm behind you. Exhale as you flow over. Breathing into the front. Exhale as you touch and head over. And making this our last one, we're going to add in now mobilization through the head and the neck. We're going to lift now and follow the hand with our gaze and over towards the front knee with a breath in. Exhale, following the hand with your gaze as you touch behind. Well done, marvelous, well done. Last two, following the hand with the gaze. And final one. Well done. And pause in there, gorgeous. All righty, from here we're going to just lift it up and over, and the hand will come and pause now towards the front onto the mat. Again, you can have your hands down. You can lift up onto your fingertips if you would rather. And starting with the head down towards the mat, you're going to breathe in and exhale as you just lift that chest through the arms, lifting the gaze, looking slightly ahead, and then down towards the mat with the breath in. Exhale, lifting the gaze. And down with a breath in. Exhale, lifting the gaze. And final time, breath in, looking down. And exhale, lift. And pause, looking down towards the mat. Breathe in, exhale, lifting your hand, looking with your eyes, following the fingertips, and they're heading away and behind you. Wonderful. We're going to shuffle ourselves over onto the supporting left arm. So it's a forearm position, down on the forearm, elbow, roughly speaking, underneath your shoulder. Hand on the right there, facing forwards, just on the top hip. Again, adjust if you need to. If you want to have a change of the leg position, go ahead and pop knee on knee. Breathing in, let's go and find our arc on this side, reaching towards the left, lifting your armpit, rib cage, and even that top hip, and down with a breath in. Exhale, flow as you lift up and over. And breathing in as you send your arm to the side. Breath in. Exhale. And down one more time. Breath in and exhale. Well done. Fantastic. Bring the hand down by your side, just popping it in front of you. And we're going to just rock and roll with the top hip. So now just starting to think about isolating a little bit in that lower spine area as you just send your hip forwards and backwards. Just rolling the hip forwards and backwards. Imagine that hip bone facing towards the front, down towards the mat, and then the bottom cheek on the top there, just slightly easing down behind you. That's it. Good. Well done. Okay, just finding the flow again, seeing how the body feels, isolating the lower spine, and rocking forwards and backwards one more time. And after this last rock, we're going to come back to your center position, hip on hip, pausing and bringing your top hand, and that's towards the front and on the top hip. Over into arc now, just pausing with the arm in arc, adding in now the rock forwards with your hip. As the hip comes forwards, look down towards the front edge of the mat. And then as the hip rocks back, just lifting your gaze slightly, following your eyes towards the ceiling, not rolling too far back with the neck, okay? So you're still thinking of that top arm, framing your face, and just opening the chest slightly towards the ceiling as the hip rolls back. Well done, lovely. We've just got two more. And one final time forwards and lifting and coming back to center and releasing your arm back down. We're going to roll onto our backs, please. Okay, so you're going to just slowly swivel around and onto your back. So the head down on the mat, hands are just going to rest on the top of your thighs for me, please. Elbows can be down on the mat to begin with, that is fine. Bringing your heels up towards your bottom. You don't want to have your toes and feet together. They're going to be about hip width apart. Alrighty. And just notice and be aware of the touch points on the body, on the mat. So you've got your feet just gently relaxed on the mat, perhaps the back of the pelvis and tailbone on the mat. Noticing a slight spine curve at the lower back, maybe then where you meet the back on the mat around the rib cage area, perhaps across the shoulder blades, the back of the head. And as you breathe out this next time, I'd like you to start to think about just gently pressing into that lower back down into the mat. Okay, the space where that lower spine was once slightly arched off the mat is now eliminated as you squash down into imprint. Start to lift the pubic bone and the bottom cheeks off the mat. We're going to start to peel up vertebrae by vertebrae off the mat, trying to imagine one vertebrae coming up, then the next, and then the next, and you're coming up into this lifted, elevated bridge position. Okay, and then we're going to think about the return journey. Again, one vertebrae coming down at a time. Keeping the pubic bone lifted towards the ceiling, pressing down into that imprint, that lower back connection, and down onto the mat with a breath in. Exhale one more time, slowly lifting the pubic bone, pressing into the lower spine. Peeling up that mid spine till you find the lower rib cage, coming up one rib at a time into your bridge. And we're going to pause this time in your elevated bridge position. Take your arms now overhead, so palms are face up towards the ceiling and hands up towards the floor if they can, either side or behind you. If they don't quite reach the floor, that is fine. And from here, we're now going to lower down the spine. Okay, let that rib cage come down. Perhaps slightly more tricky with the hands out there behind you. Okay, we're going to get a little bit more into the upper spine area by doing this. And we're going to come back up. So the arms are still overhead as you peel back up into your bridge. Again, we're going to head up, 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 one vertebrae at a time, lifting into your bridge. Stretch those knees slightly away from you when you get into your elevated bridge position. Arms stay overhead and then releasing back down. Keeping the pubic bone nice and high until the last minute. And this final time, lifting up into your bridge. Peeling up into your maximum range, perhaps the lower rib cage area, or even perhaps up onto those shoulder blades, and then releasing back down. Again, consciously lifting the pubic bone right up into the last minute, keeping that tailbone slightly tucked under, and then down, down, down onto the mat. Releasing your hands now overhead and down by your sides onto the mat. I'd like to go ahead and take your left leg now and cross it over your right leg. Okay, so just crossing one leg over. And perhaps take your right hand slightly wider than the mat, so they're out on the floor there. And I want you to now think about your left knee is now going to head over towards your right. Okay, so basically both knees are heading towards the right-hand side. Trying to think about the shoulders slightly staying, or shoulder blades slightly staying down on the mat to begin with, and feeling a stretch down that left side of the body. So looking towards the ceiling, you may find the shoulder blades slightly hovering, but the knees essentially are leading your stretch over towards the right. Okay, it's quite a deep stretch, so just pause and breathe. As it's a deep stretch, I want you to make sure that you take a breath in before you come back up, okay? So with your breath in, use the exhale to just slightly draw in the tummy button muscles, tummy area muscles, sorry, and bring yourself back to center. Uncurl the legs and then go ahead and switch your right leg crossing over your left leg. And breathe in and exhale as you send your legs over towards the left. So you're heading in the direction of the left with both legs. And again, seeing how you feel on this side, shoulder blades trying to stay down-ish. Okay. Your gaze towards the ceiling. And again, breathing into the stretch over towards the left. So you're stretching the right side of the body with the knees to the left as you breathe in. And exhale. We're going to come back out of this. Remember engaging the exhale breath as you bring your core in, your tummy muscles in. You draw your knees to center and unswitch those legs. Alrighty, what I'd like you to do is take your hands now to the center and either side of you, and arms overhead. Interlace your thumbs. Okay, so you've hooked one thumb around the other and arch those arms over your head. Okay, so you've created this frame for your face. Go ahead and take that left leg one more time over your right leg. And I'd like you to now take your knees over towards the right again. Okay, so over towards the right. This time I want your shoulders to come with you. So you're going to roll over towards the right. Looking towards the right, okay, but instead I want you to lift your gaze and see if you can check out those fingertips, okay? So you're going to let your gaze lift the fingertips, looking up and the head resting on the mat, okay? So you're just looking up, chin slightly up, and this time you should perhaps feel a little bit more stretch through the whole of the spine, maybe less of a twist, but more of a stretch of the spine, okay? Bring your gaze slightly down to the front of you, lift your knees towards the ceiling and bring yourself back to center. And we're going to switch direction. So taking your right knee over your left knee. This time knees are heading towards the left. Looking out towards the left there, so your right shoulder is lifting. Once your knees have got to the floor, go ahead and lift now to look towards your fingertips and then rest your head down onto the mat. So we're just getting a little bit more stretch and lengthening through the spine. Again, taking a nice breath here. And with your next exhale, just look slightly down towards the side of you, lifting your knees towards the ceiling, rolling your shoulders back. And so looking up towards the ceiling, taking your right leg, uncurl it and switch it, I should say, from the left. Releasing your thumbs and your arms just coming gently back overhead. Well done. Okay, we're going to bring our knees into the chest now and just hold behind the thighs. And we're going to take our knees and our nose now towards our knees, lifting our head, neck and shoulders, and perhaps hugging those knees in slightly closer into a small little ball. And from here, we're just going to rock from side to side, or small circles on the lower spine. Okay, if you're doing a rock and roll, just continue rocking or circling in the opposite direction if you're circling. And then come to center. We're going to bring ourselves into sitting. So just gently rock and roll, or roll your knees towards your side and bring yourself up into sitting. Okay, bring your lift of the spine now. So you're going to use the back of the legs just to lift you slightly into a nice tall flat back. Okay, and I'd like you to take your feet slightly further away from you. Pop your hands on the front of your shins. And we're going to just take a lovely breath in, grow through the crown of the head. Now I want you to slide your fingertips down the front of your legs and bring your nose towards your knees as much as you can, reaching those fingertips down the front of your feet. Okay, bring your hands back up the front of your legs, hold behind your legs and lift nice and tall. Well done. Now we're going to head into our C curve where you tilt the pelvis and bring your belly button down towards the mat as if it's pressing through the lower spine behind you. Extend your arms, and then slowly roll down onto the mat, perhaps using your hands at the back of your legs just to support you as you come back down onto the mat. Bring your knees one more time in towards your chest. Hug those knees in. Bring your nose towards your knees, still hugging those knees, and a rock from side to side or small little circles with the knees in both directions. Either which way, bring the knees in. You're going to start rocking and rolling to bring yourself into sitting, perhaps knees to the side if you need to, and bring yourself into sitting. Sitting nice and tall, send those legs slightly away from you so you get that height. Pop your hands on the front of your shins with a breath in. Exhale, send the hands down the front of the legs, nose coming towards your knees, perhaps now reaching those fingertips slightly further down towards your toes. Okay. Slide the hands back up the legs, behind the back of the legs now. You're holding on behind the back of the knees. Lift nice and tall, grow with a breath in. Exhale, C curve, belly to spine. Extend your arms nice and long. Pull that belly button in as if it's pushing towards the mat behind you, and then peel back down onto the mat, using your arms to hold you, your legs to hold you, or just easing down if you can, and bring your knees back into your chest one more time. Well done, wonderful. Placing the feet back down towards the floor, bring your arms towards the ceiling, palms facing towards your knees. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take ourselves into a full roll up. You may want to leave your knees where they are. You may want to take those legs slightly further away. You may prefer to have your legs extended and your toes pulling towards the knees, pressing through the heels. So whichever level works for you. Don't forget, if you need to, you can put a small cushion to the lower back. If you know you have quite a space in the lower back, then perhaps you might need to put a cushion there as a little bit of support for you. Okay, so that's going to go in that arch of the lower back, not under your bottom. Okay, choosing then where you want to have your legs, take your arms now overhead. Don't forget the palms are facing up towards the ceiling. With a breath in, exhale, peel yourself back up. Use the legs if you need to grab yourself up and into sitting. Pop the hands on the front of the legs. Continue the motion down towards your toes. If your legs are extended, you can just go ahead into your forward flexion and then releasing up into a sitting position for everyone. Into C curve and easing down towards the mat. Don't forget, palms are facing towards the knees. Hands overhead with a breath in. Exhale, sitting yourself up. And nice and tall, get the length in the spine, and then easing those fingertips down towards the toes, nose to knees. Perhaps a little bit further this time. Do you feel a little bit of extra movement there in the spine? Sit nice and tall. And then arms are extending as we pull back into C curve, using the legs to ladder yourself down or releasing down using your core, arms towards the ceiling. We have our hands overhead, double arm float with a breath in. Exhale, peeling yourself back up into your nice tall sit. And then sliding nose down to knees, reaching fingertips to toes. And then sitting nice and tall. Well done, guys. Gorgeous. Wonderful. From here, we're going to make sure that we're all sitting with our legs bent. Holding behind the back of the knees, please, and feet slightly further away, so not too tucked up. We're now going to take ourselves into a small bit of supported back extension. So we're going to just lift ourselves nice and tall. Remember, you're sitting on those sit bones underneath your bottom. And from here, we're going to lift our gaze, perhaps extend the arms slightly and allow yourself to just lean back, holding onto these legs. And then bring yourself into a sit position with your elbows bent. Breath in. Exhale, lift the gaze, extending the arms slightly, holding onto the back of the legs, and lift. And lifting the gaze. We've got one more time, elbows bent, find those sit bones, breath in, exhale, extending the arms, lifting the gaze, and bring yourself back into sitting. Okay, so folks, you're going to head into a little bit of a hamstring stretch movement here. We're going to start with the right leg. The left leg can stay bent for the moment. Okay, so first of all, pop both hands towards the right leg. All righty. If you need to, you can slightly ease back, okay, into a small tuck with the pelvis slightly tilted and belly to spine. Okay, you may find you can do this in the up-sit position, but that is kind of quite tricky for the hamstring. So perhaps let's start with ourselves slightly eased back. Bring your right knee into your chest. And that might be enough for you this morning. You might be able to walk your hands slightly further down your leg and perhaps try and think about lifting and extending that leg slightly out. You may be able to go ahead and get a nice strong hamstring stretch, perhaps even holding onto the ankle. Okay, so really it is up to you. Your choice is there. Okay, again, you have a choice with your other leg. You can keep it on the floor as I'm showing you now, or extend the leg. It's totally up to you what feels comfortable. Now, as you know, we've got a little bit of a curve in the spine here, and perhaps your arms are fully extended. All righty. What I'd like you to do now, though, is think about now the sense of your elbows coming towards the side of you and just gently easing your nose towards your knee. So you may be with your bent leg like so, okay? All righty. Or you may be with your straight leg like so. Then we're going to allow ourselves to imagine the arms straightening and our chest pushing through the arms and straightening the spine as much as possible. Okay, so you may be looking like this with your knee bent or the leg straight. Okay, from there, we then allow ourselves to just bend the elbows out to the side and draw the knee through, so the nose through towards the knee, and then allow the arms to straighten and the back to straighten as well, sitting tall, shoulder blades and shoulders pulling away from the earlobes. Down we go with our nose to knee, not by bending the knee, of course, it's by bending the elbows and the spine. And then sit nice and tall. And this is what the modified version is. And then we're down with knee and nose coming together. Okay. And lifting tall. And down. And this is our final time. Lift the spine tall. And down. And then release the legs. There, go ahead and bend both feet and sit yourself. So bend both legs, knees, feet back on the mat and sit nice and tall. Taking our arms over towards our left leg. Okay, again, the right leg can bend or it can be straight. Let's go ahead and start with the leg bent though. Left, so ease yourself slightly back into a curve. So you're just a little bit tummy in. Tilting of the pelvis, bring your left leg in towards your chest. All righty, again, this may be your start position and you're happy with this. All righty, maybe perhaps send the arms slightly down towards your calf muscle. If you can maybe look into getting a bit more of a straight leg, that is splendid, or maybe heading down towards the ankle. Again, modify with the right leg where it feels comfortable. It may be extended or bent. We are in a current sort of C-curve, gentle, soft spine position. All righty, so I'm going to think about now lifting my heart space and my arms are straight as much as I can. Okay, with the legs bent, it will be slightly more tricky to straighten the arms, but pulling the shoulder blades back and down, lifting the heart space as if you're pressing your chest through the arms would be super. Okay, from here, we're then going to gently bend the elbows out towards the side and think about easing the nose towards your knee. Okay, and then sit up nice and tall onto those sit bones. Arms are straight. Breathing in. Exhale, bending the elbows, nose heading towards your knee. Well done. Now it might feel very different on this side. Okay, depends on your hamstrings. Okay, if it feels particularly uncomfortable or you want to drop it down a level, don't forget you can have that knee bent slightly so you can just still be sitting up nice and tall, finding the length in the spine and then easing the nose towards the knee. With that knee bent, it's not a problem. Okay, still finding that movement and the lift through the spine and exhale. You've got one more time as you breathe in. Grow tall, exhale. And then gently easing your leg back down. Gorgeous, well done. All righty, so folks, we're going to then allow ourselves to pop our hands behind us and extend our legs out straight towards the end of the mat. We are pointing our toes, okay? The arms are fairly broad behind you, okay? So you're probably thinking about them being about the edge of the mat width, and toes are neighborly, okay? Now let's go ahead and see if we can roll those shoulders back and down, and again find that lovely length through the spine, gluing the legs together if you can for me. I want you to think of all the vertebrae now and the space you have between the vertebrae, the lovely length of the spine, that natural S shape. And I would just like you to simply breathe in, exhale, and maintain that S shape as you lift your bottom off the mat and lower it back down. Now it might be a tiny small lift. Okay, really tiny, but what I don't want you to do is bring the shoulders towards your ears. You're going to be thinking about them staying nice and low, shoulder blades pulling back and down as you lift and lower. Just two more, breathing in, exhale, and down. And last one. And down, fantastic, well done. Okay, easing yourselves now down onto the mat, please, folks. So one more time, onto your backs. And pause here. Okay, so I'd like you to take your left leg and you're going to just place the left ankle on your right lower thigh or just above the knee area. Okay, so not quite as crossed over as we did before. You've got a wider left knee out, is pointing out towards the left of you, and the ankle on the knee. You're going to reach behind the right thigh and draw that right thigh bone in towards you. If you need to lift your body up to get it, release the body or the head, neck, and shoulders back down once you've got that right thigh. And I just want you to just take a bit of time just to rock and roll here, just a natural feeling of swaying side to side. That kind of movement, that additional movement in a stretch can be quite nice, just to sort of remind you to switch off and not hold and pause. And also sometimes just kind of raises your awareness of what you're doing as opposed to just kind of hanging out there. Okay, so just rocking from side to side. And just pausing there. Okay. All righty, so from here, we're just going to pause, hop in your hands down by your sides. We're going to now just head over towards the right, okay, in this figure of four position. So slightly different to our previous position where our legs are fully crossed, and slightly deeper around the glutes on the left, okay? Arms are just wide to your side. Now, if you want to take your arms out to T and look in the opposite direction of your knees, then you're more than welcome to layer up slightly. It's quite a big twist through the spine, so take it nice and steady. If you're happy just to go ahead and hang out here for a moment, then please do. Okay, when you're ready to bring yourself back up, just use your exhale as we did previously and bring yourself back to center, arms down by your side, switching legs. Go ahead and take the right ankle and place it on your left leg, just above the kneecap there. Once you're feeling comfortable there, reaching now behind the left thigh, so your fingers are kind of almost touching behind the left thigh. Again, if you've had to lift the head, neck, and shoulders, relax them back down again and just trying to switch them off and relax. And just then again, find that natural rocking and rolling. Whatever feels comfortable, just that small amount of movement. Okay. And then pausing, take the hands out towards the side, either just towards the side of your mat or perhaps slightly wide if you need to. And you're going to go ahead now and take those legs over towards your left. Okay, so you're kind of maintaining that ankle on the knee, but you're heading the legs towards the left. If you want to now elevate your hands to a T position, you're more than welcome. And look over towards the opposite direction of your knees on the right. Then again, please do a big stretch through the right-hand side of the body. And breathe into that stretch. Well done. Again, use the exhale, that slight engagement of the tummy, just to help out as you bring yourself back to center, untwisting those legs and bring your hands down by your sides. Okay, so we're going to roll onto our tummies, just roll right over on to your front. Okay, I'm going to start off with just the right hand underneath your forehead. And your legs are towards the center of the mat, kind of next door to each other, because we're going to see if we can head into a quad stretch. Now that means lifting your left heel towards your bottom and seeing if you can reach towards that left heel. Now you might only just be able to hold on to perhaps your socks or your heel, maybe even the bottom of your trousers or leggings. Maybe you can go ahead and hold behind your toes or your ankle. Okay, if this is really not for you, you can perhaps roll onto your side. See if that makes life a little bit easier, maybe without the floor in the way. Okay, so you can roll over onto your side and try that there. Okay, this is a quadricep stretch, so this is to do with the front of your thigh. You're just gently allowing yourself to breathe in as you exhale, perhaps slightly pushing your hips into the floor, perhaps slightly easing your heel towards your bottom. And take 2 breaths here as you breathe in and exhale. And if you want to maybe slightly dial it up a level, you can slightly exhale and press the foot into your hand to add an element of resistance. Well done. And switching over, take your left hand under your forehead and reach around so that you're reaching towards your right heel, trousers, ankle or foot, or lying on your side. And again, breathing in, and as you exhale, just slightly tilting the pelvis, tilting the hips in towards the floor, just gently pressing that front of the thigh into the floor there. Breathing in, exhale. Again, adding resistance if you need to or wish to as you exhale, just slightly pressing the foot into the hand. Breathing in as you release. And exhale. Good, well done. And last 2. Well done, fantastic, wonderful. From here, we're just going to bring ourselves into a 4-point kneeling position. Okay. Alrighty, we're going to just very slowly start to feel a bit of movement forwards with the head coming forwards to the fingertips and then the bottom pulling back towards the heels. So it's kind of moving forwards and backwards from 4-point kneeling into a child's pose position, just making it a little bit of movement through the knees, through the hips, through the shoulders. Well done, lovely. Wonderful, well done. And last 2. And final 1. Well done. Bring yourselves into sitting, taking our legs towards the front one more time into a frog's leg position. Okay, you're into a frog leg position. You can be in a cross leg position if you wish. And we're just going to go ahead and take ourselves over into a mermaid position, an arch. So you're going to have your arm over towards the right, arm stretching out towards the right, a little bit further away than your shoulder, and lifting your left arm up and over. You'll make this just a nice flowing move. So the left arm comes out to support you over on the side, on the left, and over with the right arm over and towards the right, just sweeping from side to side. Just a nice flowing motion from side to side. I'm going to pause this time over towards the right. So left arm is over. I'm going to look towards the left knee. I beg your pardon, towards the right knee. And then bring yourself looking center and hand over towards the left, right arm over and looking down towards your left knee, looking to center. Okay, so you're adding on a small element of twist, looking towards your right knee and to center. Well done, finding that stretch through the spine and to center. We're going to head one more time over towards the right. So if you'll regroup over towards the right, the left arm is overhead. Let's go ahead and look down towards the right knee. Okay, what I'd like you to do is now just keep looking down, sweep towards the front of you as you lift your right arm, and the right arm comes up and over. So we're just going to take our right arm over and look towards the left. Great stuff. Now look down towards the left knee. Look down towards your toes, and you're sweeping your arm up and over towards the right. Okay, so just going to switch arms and sweep from side to side. We're adding a little bit of a forward movement now. Flexion down with our look down towards the feet in between. Looking down and switch over. Looking down and switch over. Final time, either side. Well done. And down. We're just pausing here to center. Bring yourself looking up towards the front, and we're going to have our legs wide towards the side of you. Now, again, you can choose how much width you want on these legs. If you want to sit on a block or cushion, then go ahead. All righty, hands down towards the front. We're going to just relax the legs slightly towards the side. If you do need to bend the knees slightly, then that is also fine. Lifting up nice and tall through the spine, we're now going to just walk our fingertips forwards and look down towards the front edge of the mat, or your fingertips and your chin heading towards your chest, and feel a bit of a stretch on the back of those legs. You've got a nice hamstring stretch already. Hopefully they don't feel too tight. Then bring yourself back up into sitting nice and tall. 2 more times, breath in, exhale, easing forwards. And bring yourself up and into sitting nice and tall. And exhale down. And sitting tall. Wonderful. Okay, we're going to pause sitting tall, looking over now towards the right-hand side. Pop both hands onto your right thigh. We're going to head down now towards the right toes. So once again, a little bit of a movement through the hips, breathing in, exhale, sliding the fingers down towards your right toes, and then bring yourself back up and breath in. Exhale down to the right. Try and keep that left hip kind of down towards the mat, not hugely so, but just trying to think about it, staying a little bit engaged, not coming with you too much. And then bring yourself back to center, taking the hands towards the left thigh, easing the shoulders down, across to look towards the left leg, breathing in, grow tall, exhale, and slide those fingers down the left leg, and then draw yourself back up. With the breath in, find space in the spine, and exhale down. And bring yourself back up. And final time, over towards that left side. And draw yourself back up, bring yourself back to center, gorgeous. Taking just your right hand onto the right thigh, bring your left hand towards the side of you. We're going to go ahead now and rotate towards the right. We're going to ease ourselves down towards the right hand side, okay, and just lift our left arm up behind us, and then draw that left arm back down. Well done. One more time, breathing in. All right, arm sliding down, looking towards your toes, left arm just gently drawing up, floating up behind you and down. Well done. Pausing here. Now this time we're going to now think about that right ear heading towards the right knee. So instead of twisting to turn towards the toes, you're going to think about that right rib cage heading down, your right ear heading down towards the knee. Lift your arm up behind you and float it back down. Well done. Looking out towards the front, breathing in. Right ear, right rib cage towards your right knee, lifting the left arm up and down, and then switching sides, taking your your left hand towards your left thigh, right arm just behind you. Okay, first things first, looking towards your left leg and toes, maybe the shoulders slightly in that direction as well. Go ahead and reach that left hand forwards towards your toes and just gently lifting the arm behind you and back in. Breathing in one more time. Exhale, shoulders facing towards that left foot there. Lift the arm behind you and down. This time we're going to now twist to face the front. Our left ear and our left rib cage now are going to head towards that knee. Okay, so as opposed to the nose, we're going to now lift the arm up and releasing down. Bring yourself into sitting, breathing in. Left ear, left side of the ribs, down towards the leg, lifting that right arm and then releasing down. Gorgeous, well done. And bring yourself back to center, support the legs if you need to, perhaps slightly bending them and bring them back in to the middle. Well done. Okay. From here, we're going to do one more piece with our in 4-point kneeling. So popping your knees back underneath your hips into 4-point kneeling. Well done. Okay. From here, I just want you to step your hands slightly further forwards and start to bring your shoulders over your hands or your heels of your hands and fingertips. From here, we're going to think about sending the hips to the left and to the right and the left and the right. Start to join in now, perhaps some movement through the shoulders, through the rib cage, and maybe the gaze and the head just comes with you as you just respond to the movement of the hips, moving through the shoulders, the hips, the waist, the neck. Well done. And pausing here in center, walking your hands back towards your knees. So your hands are now directly under your shoulders in 4-point kneeling. Go ahead and press into the front of your feet, into the heels of your hands. Lift into your cat stretch. Tuck your chin into your throat space, looking down to the belly or your pubic bone. Separating that shoulder blade, those shoulder blades. Breathe in, exhale. Let the belly come down to the mat. Looking forwards, pushing your tailbone away from you. Get that lovely deep arch in the back. Breathing in, exhale, lift into cat stretch. And exhale into cow. Well done. And bring yourself into 4-point kneeling. Walking your hands slightly forward. One more time, tuck your toes under. Lifting the knees, you're heading up into a V stretch. Okay, and start to just pedal those feet. So you're pressing your heels one at a time down towards the floor, bending and straightening your knees one side and then the other. Okay. I like to pause where you have your heels just lifted off the mat slightly, not right up onto the toes, but just a comfortable position. I'd like you to take your right hand and place it over where your left hand is. And then just take the right heel and just hook it behind the left calf or the left ankle and feel a bit more intense stretch behind that left calf muscle. Okay. Place your right foot down on the mat. Take your right hand to the right edge of the mat. Take your left hand to meet the right hand slightly. So you get a bit more of an effort on the right hand and right edge of your mat. Take your left leg and hook it behind your left heel or ankle and let that heel just slightly press down to the mat for a calf stretch on the right side. Okay. Taking that left foot back out and onto the mat, taking the left hand back out, and let's go ahead and lift both heels right up as high as you possibly can, and maybe push your heart space, chest through the arms and shoulders a little bit more, lifting your bottom as high as you can towards the ceiling. Well done. Release the heels back down, walking your hands back towards your toes, really inch by inch, slowly. As the heels come to the mat, perhaps you would like to bend your knees and then your hands can walk all the way to the toes, or go ahead and straight leg roll up if you wish. Walk the hands up your legs if you wish, just gently supporting you, or knees are soft. And think about that lovely tuck in of the belly button towards the spine as you just support the spine and restack one vertebrae at a time. Bring yourself into the center of your mat. Okay. All righty, so from here, folks, I'd just like you to just feel the soles of the feet. Feet are parallel, hands down by your sides. All righty, we're going to take our arms towards the ceiling. And then just gently back down. With a breath in, lift arms to the ceiling. And exhale. One more time, arms towards the ceiling. And let's just pause and ease our left arm down towards the side, bending at the elbow, reaching the, sorry, beg your pardon, the other way around. Doesn't matter which way around, really, to be honest. Breathing in and then switching sides. Easing one elbow down And one arm towards the ceiling with a breath in. Exhale, switch. And one more time. And bring yourself back to center. Gorgeous. Well done. Let's go ahead and just pause for a moment. Handstand by your sides. Feeling nice and weighted over the soles of the feet. Maybe a little bit of energy into the heels. And you're going to just breathe in and exhale. Let's take 2 more breaths in. As you breathe in, try and lift the spine through the crown of the head. Exhale, just zipping and hollowing, finding that core, finding the pelvic floor area, finding your center. Let's take 1 more breath in. And we're exhaling, zip and hollow. Open your eyes, folks. And for today, we are done. I hope you feel fully mobilized and stretched. And I feel like you've had a nice, flowing, gentle movement class today. There's hopefully ticked some boxes for releasing your body before we move on to some more strength work throughout the next few weeks. So next week, we're going to be looking to do our upper body work, followed by some lower body work, and then looking to do some center, lateral and oblique movements. So finishing off with the Pilates 34. So you've got an idea of what's coming this term. Take care for now, and take care and see you soon. Bye-bye.